Now, I was not around in 2001 on September the 11th, but if you ask anybody that was around during that time, that had consciousness during that time, that was a fully functioning adult during that time, they can truly tell you the exact moment where they were and how that day changed pretty much the rest of America's future. Still, to this day, we're seeing changes implemented in America because of the September 9/11 attacks. And without fail, the September 9/11 attacks have always been a point for the American people to come together on a topic and say, no matter whether you're on one political side of the spectrum or another, whether you hate somebody or you love them, 9/11 has always been one of those days where everybody comes together and commemorates the American civilians that died that day and all the American soldiers that would later go on to give their lives for subsequent wars fought because of 9/11 and the war on terrorism. Now, as I said, I have not been around since 9/11. In fact, I was not around on 9/11. But every year, without a doubt, when 9/11 comes around, you know, whether it's a 9/11 a joke. Now, I know, like, 9/11 is not a joking matter, but you bring up a 9/11 a joke, like, that's still remembering 9/11, whether or not, you know, it's respectful. It's still remembering 9/11, without a doubt. Every year, there's always, you know, that it's 9/11, you know, 9/11 always remembered. Somebody says something about 9/11, a teacher, something like that. Someone always brings up 9/11, how bad of a day it was. People always seem to be joyful on 9/11, not necessarily joyful because people died, but you know that corroborative nature, you know, people being together on 9/11 because 9/11 has brung America together for almost the past 25 years. And this year, for me anyways, has been the first year that I've really not seen this happen. And really, this is a completely opposite step in the opposite direction, where I believe that 9/11 has split people apart even farther than it has brung them together in the past. Now, obviously, I would say this week of 9/11 has been more tragedies than 9/11 itself. Obviously, you have the school shootings in Colorado. Obviously, you have the Ukrainian woman being stabbed to death on surveillance camera in a train. And then obviously you have the shooting of a political figure formerly known as Charlie Kirk. Now, you watch the Ukrainian woman getting stabbed, right? There are people watching her die. Like, nobody comes to help her. Nobody tries to. I mean, obviously, the man acted in such a quick manner. I don't think anybody could have stopped him. But, like, you literally watch on the surveillance camera, multiple people walk past her as she is dying. She dies alone in a train full of people. Kind of ironic. But then again, there is nobody to save her. There is no American grace. Like, obviously, she's an immigrant and stuff like that, but, you know, it's just about being a human being. Doesn't matter where you know or not. Like, somebody should have went over there and tried to do something, but yet they failed. You go to the Colorado school shootings, you know, people are debating about the school shooter and stuff like that. I don't really care what your political beliefs are, but they're talking about, like, that he was transgender or something like that. Like, it's a bad person. Doesn't matter who the person is. Doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden shot up a school. They're still a bad person, no matter who shot up the school, you know. And then, of course, Charlie Kirk. I think this is the one that everybody's been talking about, but pretty much there has been a ton of well, we don't want to say backlash, but a ton of, you know, just not really that empathetic towards Charlie Kirk's death. There's been a lot of comments. Obviously, MNSBC reporter made a comment on there. You know, he was kind of like, well, Charlie Kirk made a lot of, you know, controversial statements, so he kind of got what he deserved. Obviously, that guy got fired. Obviously, you have the House of Representatives when someone says aloud, can we please have a player for Charlie Kirk? Mind you, this is on 9/11. A reminder, we all know what 9/11 is, bringing everybody together, especially in the House of Representatives, where you have should be technically evenly split. Everybody should be coming together for a time of remorse, a time of remembrance. Even another tragedy happened on that day with the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Remind you, 9/11, it was on that day, or it was right, I think it was actually on 9/11, and then the woman just screamed no when someone asked for a loud prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. So, and then of course you have the online backlash of people just saying, Charlie Kirk just kind of F-A-F-O, and he kind of got what he deserved. Now, obviously, this is a horrible thing to say, and I'm not going to sit here and be one to impede on your free speech. But there's a difference between using your free speech and just being a morally and ethically wrong person. Not to mention just being objectively wrong. No matter what your political views are, no matter what your stances are, violence is never the answer. I think we all learned that since kindergarten. With that being said, I just wanted to get on here and say that in my lifetime anyways, this is the first week. Not only has 9/11 not been a significant focal point for that day or that week, but it's one of the first times that instead of the week of 9/11, everybody coming together and focusing on the tragedy that occurred all those years ago, it seems like now, but really wasn't that long, we are continuing only to divide further, and I truly see a impending doom if this trend continues. With that being said, I hope that this can be resolved. I hope that people can come and work together under one roof, under what we love. And I just want to end this. I usually don't, not usually too religious or anything, because I know people have their own religions. But there's a quote, Matthew 24:12. Because of increased wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. With that being said, stay safe and stay hydrated.